This is the Tale of Loueyrendil as we attempt to achieve level 20 without dying, while playing through normal leveling content in LOTRO, but on maximum landscape difficulty. And let me catch you up on the origins of this challenge. While I've made this mini series of videos on it, I actually started this as a live stream where I would play this challenge until I either successfully make it to level 20 or until I fall asleep. Loueyrendil IV was born at roughly 7.5 hours into this adventure, and everything up until 12 hours is available in the YouTube recording of the stream, but there was more. And only those who were present to witness the events that occurred know the ending of this tale, because YouTube only saves 12 hours of stream footage. The final hours were lost in the ether. And today I begin to uncover the final chapters of the Tale of Loueyrendil. Will Loueyrendil IV succeed? Will there be more Loueyrendils? Or did I fail the challenge? Did I maybe have to finally go to sleep and save the challenge for another day? Let's find out. With the 4th Loueyrendil, I do just as I did with the previous 3. I have even whiter hair and I go through the introductory Mossword quest, but I do act on what I learned in the previous attempts. I quest straight to level 5, and now I need to take a break to focus on crafting. Traveling to undying, I accidentally take the wrong route, and I end up needing to get down from this tall cliff to get back to the road. I can take the safe and slow option by turning around and making my way back to the road from the west, take maybe a minute at most, or I can risk everything and jump. Look, I've been playing LOTRO for 8 hours and I've gone through 3 Mariners. Clearly, I still have all of my wits about me, and I think I could do it. We're gonna do safe mode. I think we're good. Whew. We made it. I just couldn't not jump. Now we just have to come back and do that at level 19. All safe and sound in undying, I pick up Explorer so I can gather resources while adventuring. Going through the intro crafting quest allows me to get a few extra resources and craft myself a decent cloak. Sticking with Yellowline for my gameplay, I continue questing on my way back to Mossword. Eventually, I make it to the now infamous Wolf Den, and for some reason, the fearsome warg put up his toughest fight yet. It may be the lack of crafted weapons, but this warg would just not go down. But with my Yellowline tools that I never used and cost me Loueyrendil II, I do eventually succeed in slaying the beast. Even though Loueyrendil IV is much weaker than the previous Mariners, he was still able to accomplish the same feats. Maybe he is different after all, other than the now super white hair, of course. As is tradition, after I finish all of these Mossword quests, I change things up for this character. Feeling inspired by the original incarnation of Loueyrendil and arguably the most successful Loueyrendil despite not actually being the highest level Mariner, I want to continue questing in Swanfleet. Now, it is fairly well known from Lurok's journal that I am not a big fan of Hobbit Village questing in Swanfleet, but for Loueyrendil IV, I'm thinking these could be some really useful quests. If I focus on just the prologue, I may have some fun along the way as well. Importantly, I would also set myself up for success in the future, especially with the Before the Shadow book series. Thinking about the future has got me thinking that in all of the previous attempts, thinking about and planning for the future has led to disaster. In the first attempt, I was actively planning where I would want to go after Swanfleet. In the second attempt, I was actively planning where I wanted to go in Breland or Cardolan. And in the third attempt, well, I was planning on how I was going to get past Chetwood. And yeah, that attempt was doomed from the start. Still, I couldn't help myself but to create dreams for these characters and envision their future. Without that, this journey would be bleak and feel very uninspired. In previous attempts, it was more difficult to think back on my earlier deaths. I was a bit demoralized by the first death that my cats caused, but the second death really hurt because it was just a brief lapse in concentration and the whole run was wiped away. But for this character, I'm already over the first 2 deaths and honestly quickly getting over the third. Unlike the first 2 deaths, the third was just straight up bad, and besides giving me recurring nightmares about boars, it was just so bad that it's leaving my memory as swiftly as the lifespan of that Mariner. Anyway, working hard in these hobbit villages has left me at an impasse. I can either jump off this massive cliff into the river and climb back up the mountain, Or I can use my map home and more safely travel straight from Louweyrendil while also preparing for the future and knocking out some crafting. Naturally, I'd choose death. Just kidding, for once in my life I will go the safe route. This character still feels destined for success after being alive with all the other daring done so far. By some miracle, I make it out and work my way back to actually be in the village this time, and quite safely. But now it is time to return to Louweyrendil, and you know what that means? Well, it means I craft. But beyond that, not only do I get to work with Avonks and their poisons again, but I get to return to the warg den. The exact location of the death of the original Loueyrendil, ironically, death by cat. Such horrors lay here, but it does not deter me. Loueyrendil I did not die from combat. In fact, he died while AFK. I know I can beat these wargs, and I am confident that I can take out the signature warg using my crowd control, heals, defensive abilities, and of course, dishing out the damage. And honestly, this warg pack leader, he's hardly even put up a fight. With that victory, I officially make it past the original Loueyrendil, and I am stepping foot the furthest into Swanfleet of any of the Mariners. I also actually never did these Louweyrendil quests before, so it is truly uncharted territory for me. These remaining quests are straightforward even if I must use a lot of my strategy in my fights against the leveled up Dunlendings, and despite some scares, I make it through these quests, and on the final quest in the chain, I am thrown for a loop. But it really just seems that this character, Loueyrendil IV, is somehow special and has been up for any challenge. As I continue questing before heading off to the Elflands in Swanfleet, I must remind myself that any brief lapse in concentration could very easily lead to my death. It is important that I actually learn my lesson from the previous attempts at this challenge. We'll stick with Yellowline Mariner gameplay, not get in over our heads, and trust in our ability to take on whatever challenges face us in the remainder of Swanfleet. Stopping by Mossward for the book quest, I run into a strangely familiar face. Even though Loueyrendil IV is new to Middle-earth, he somehow recognizes Larry Saltystash the Mariner, sometimes also called the Lariner. Having not spoken a single word to Larry, I receive an invitation to join his kin, the Mithril League, home of infamous LOTRO characters such as Louis, Gru, Tugro, Jimmy, and even Louis-7. Loueyrendil did not know this, but this is exactly what he needed as proper motivation to continue the adventures. This feels like a key moment to help seal Loueyrendil's fate. Had I asked to join the kinship, my death would essentially be guaranteed, but had I not emoted at Larry for the kin invite, I would have not had the proper motivation and support to make the final push to level 20. Back in Louweyrendil, I make sure to do some crafting to ensure that I have the best gear possible given my resources, and because I'm already level 14, which actually matches the record set by Loueyrendil II back in Era Luin, a mere 4.5 hours earlier. That needs a moment to sink in. We are approaching 12 hours into this challenge. It is nearing midnight my time, and this character is level 14. A great accomplishment that should not be undersold, but level 14 is not even that close to 20. Leveling slows down quite a lot in LOTRO, especially after level 15 or so. Level 15 could very easily be the halfway point in terms of playtime to get level 20, especially considering that I am on max landscape difficulty. Not only is it late and have I been playing LOTRO for a very, very long time, but I'm also starting to worry about my level 15 plus experience. I want to continue towards Cardalin. I still have actually yet to properly play through Cardalin, only stepping my toes into Tharbad previously, but that means that Cardalin is largely unknown to me. While Bree is very dangerous, I am at least familiar with the dangers. I do not know what Cardalin has in stock for me, that is, if I even get that far. There are some serious dangers coming up in Swanfleet. Urukai, Holly Trolls, Huorns, all of these are going to pose threats to the survival of Loueyrendil IV. It has been one of the most fun experiences I have had in LOTRO getting this far, but all of these questions are weighing on my mind as we approach the end of the archive of the Tales of Loueyrendil. What happens to Loueyrendil IV and the rest of this challenge? Stay tuned for the fourth and final part as I uncover the untold chapters in the Tale of Loueyrendil.